Welcome to another episode of Fear the Talking Heads. This is a special holiday episode where we're giving you horror comedies that are holiday related. So, Eric and I were working on some different ideas for this, and we were going to land on five, and it ended up being seven. And I can't wait to share these with you.
Did you here's the ultimate question. Did you make it through all seven of them?
I didn't make it through all seven. There's one in particular that I'm going to have to have you take lead on. And I
Oh,
think you
great.
know which one.
Yeah, probably the one I just finished. This. I gotta finish this. Barb's waiting. We gotta record. She didn't fucking watch it.
I just do. All
That's all
right,
good.
so before we hit record, we were discussing what we have. I have eggnog, and I have it in my special. This is kind of almost like a preview of what's to come. My Gizmo glass that I picked up at Scarefest weekend. This was back in actually 23. So I've had
Oh
it for
wow.
a while, and this is my first time drinking out of it. But yeah, there's my Gizmo glass. Eggnog with no
Yeah, I
ingredient.
just I just got hot chocolate, no alcohol because I don't know. I didn't know how long this would go, and I already run my mouth enough as it is sober. But it's some Reese's peanut butter. It's actually pretty
Ooh.
good. But I did borrow my wife's festive. She's a huge Golden Girls fan, so it's not horror related. But living with those four, I think, would be kind of a horror movie. So it's close enough.
I love it. That was a good one
Uh,
to pick.
yeah, yeah, I figured it'd be fun. It's the only Christmas mug I have that actually has pictures other than the usual stockings and stuff like that. This would be fun for our show tonight.
I was debating on what I wanted to talk about first. This was one that Eric recommended, and
Yes.
I just didn't know going into it because I had passed it up so many times on nights that Granny and I were, well, the past couple of years, we saw it,
Hmm.
up on the screen as we're scrolling through trying to discover which movies to watch. And I was like, I don't know. And you know what it is? It's because they don't sell you really on the cover.
Right. It's just a big. Well, I don't know how you looked at it if it was to stream, but I have the DVD. First off, I'm glad that you took a chance because this is one like we had seven movies. There's two that I didn't watch for this because I know them like the back of my hand. Santa's Sleigh is one of them. I try to watch it almost every year. There's the one we're going to talk about that is every year, but this is also one that if my friends like horror, cheesy, goofy horror, I always tell them around Christmas time, watch Santa's Sleigh. And so far, my batting average is pretty damn perfect with this. So, but yeah, the cover is literally, I think it's just you wouldn't know Bill Goldberg like you personally, Barb, but it's just a guy dressed as Santa holding up, I think, like an icicle, gonna stab like the cover, and that's it. Super generic.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect, and then I'm watching it and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is we wanted to give horror comedies for the holidays because you look on YouTube and you see all kinds of different Christmas horror movies, but you never see the ones that are just silly.
It's always the same one. It's always and don't get me wrong, I enjoy Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2 for what they are. I really enjoy Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. But I'm so sick and tired of seeing, okay, let's what's Billy gonna do this year? You know what I mean? Or geez, how many times do we have to sit and discuss Black Christmas? The opinions of Eric doesn't necessarily represent the opinion of Barr, but I'm like, I am not a fan of the original Black Christmas. I tried to give it so many shots. I'm just like, can't do it. Can't do it.
Well,
I
and
mean,
this
I love
show,
Margot Kidder. I've been in love with Margot Kidder since I was a kid. You know what I mean? With Superman and stuff like that. But I can only just the poor girl could only do so much. And then I'm glad you decided let's go with the comedy route because I'm like, good, we can have fun. We don't necessarily. There are some slashers that we're going to talk about. Santa's Sleigh has some slasher elements, but we can have some fun. We can just let the hair down, put the feet up, and just laugh at the screen. And that's what I did through almost all seven movies.
and it's very punny. There's a
Yes.
lot of puns in Santa's
Yes.
sleigh.
Yeah.
We won't spoil it
Okay.
completely, but we'll talk about some of it because we obviously want you to see it because Santa's sleigh, I don't think is I just don't hear it talked about at all.
I honestly only knew about it because I'm a wrestling fan, and following Bill Goldberg. They were promoting the hell out of this, and I'm thinking it's going to be dumb, and it is, but it's not the dumb I was expecting. And I remember watching it. It was probably on TBS or TNT, something like that. And I was watching it, and a lot of it was edited because it is rated R. So I went and I think I just rented it, back in the old days when we went to Blockbuster. You know what I mean? And I sat down, I just laughed my ass off because it's not just funny, but it's so self-aware. Like, we'll get into it. Like, what you're getting into with the opening scene when we meet some of the most rotten people, this side of Christmas, and they're played by Fran Drescher, Chris Kattan's there, Rebecca Gayheart. You got James Caan in this movie. That the biggest Scrooge in the world. James Caan is in this, and I think Chris Kattan is cheating on his wife with someone else who's sitting at the table. So it's like this big dysfunctional family, and suddenly you see the chimney and you see, like, the soot and everything, and you expect Santa to come crawling down, but no, you just see his feet. And Bill Goldberg, he's like, what, I don't know, 6'4", pushing 300 pounds. You literally just busts out. Bricks are flying everywhere, and he starts punning stuff. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. Kicks the dog, sets Fran Drescher on fire, and hilarity ensues. You know what I mean? It's a wholesome family entertainment, and it really just sets the tone of what the next. It's not even 90 minutes. It's like pushing an hour and 20, but it sets the tone of what you're going to get into. And if you like puns, over the top violence, like, it's not like over the top and like gory and graphic, but it sets the tone. It's like Looney Tunes.
The fact that it did that all in the opening scene, I was like, I'm hooked. All right,
Yes.
show me some more.
Yep. It's so much fun. And then when we get to, the backstory, how Santa was really the son of Satan, and he lost a bet to an angel while playing a game of curling, of all things. And he was forced for like a millennia or something like that as punishment to give out toys to good children. And now time's up. He's getting his revenge. He doesn't have reindeer. He's got like a big buffalo or something. And I told you, it brought him and his wife together in a very specific scene. They're still married with a child, which is honestly, that's probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Well, he was a hot Santa.
He walks in, he's got this big fu beard, and he's, because he's so muscular, he's the sleeveless Santa, because he got to show the biceps, and he just happens to go into a strip club, and again the puns, ho ho hose and stuff like that. He meets his wife. His wife was literally one of the strippers in this. Like I said, they met, they went out, and they're married to this day.
Just so that people know, at the time of this recording, it is on Tubi and AMC Plus, in case you're interested in watching it after we've sold you on it.
There's so many puns. I think someone gets hit in the head with a book, and he says, Chris, it really scares the dickens out of you. And when you find out the backstory, it's like this little stop motion Rankin and Bass tribute, like, the old Rudolph shows, and it's just a lot of freaking fun.
Well, the next one, I think you know, since I said it, everyone has probably seen this one.
Go ahead. Yeah. That's my yearly
Um,
watch. That's my yearly watch every year.
yeah. And for anyone that thinks Gremlins is not a Christmas movie, I say think again because
Listen, I have this argument with my daughter every year. Rand is looking for a Christmas. I'm looking for a Christmas present for my son. He literally says that. Gizmo was in a box, wrapped in wrapping paper. The gremlins hide in a Christmas tree to attack the mom. They eat a guy dressed as Santa Claus. How much more Christmas do you need? You know what I mean? The Christmas songs, all this and that. If you, I get why, like, some people say Die Hard isn't fine. I think it is, but fine. This isn't. If It's a Wonderful Life can be a Christmas movie, and there's only like 20 minutes of Christmas in that 2 hour plus movie, Gremlins can be a Christmas movie.
I never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
And It's a Wonderful Life is actually one of my favorite Christmas movies.
It's a great.
Yeah,
I love it. I
but
just
you're
honestly
right.
saw it for the first time. Oh God, maybe a handful of years ago, and I'm saying this is a great movie, but when do we get to the Christmas? You know what I mean? But if that is considered a Christmas movie, then Gremlins sure as hell is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, but I didn't know that Gizmo was originally supposed to turn into Stripe.
Yes, he was going to be the one that turned into Stripe, and Steven Spielberg stepped in and said no. He says Gizmo's too cute. We can merchandise. You know what I mean? He's thinking, and it turned out for the better. He's the hero and saves the day, and we get, if it was just Gizmo, who knows where the story would have went. You know what I mean? Would we have gotten more Mogwais? Would we have gotten the fantastic scene in the movie theater? You know what I mean? Or the scary scene in the YMCA? We don't know what we would have gotten if it was just Gizmo. Steven Spielberg didn't want the scene with Kate's father, and Joe Dante threatened to walk off. He said, I want this in here to show how it is, a season of depression. A lot of people suffer that. And he said, you make me take it out. I'm going with it. So they did butt heads a lot, but I'm glad Joe listened to Steven and let Gizmo stay a Mogwai.
The only part of that conversation in that scene that I'm like, I wish they wouldn't have put that in there was her line. And I'm hoping no kids are watching this. Parents,
Mm-hmm.
if you have kids watching this, now is your time to hit pause. But the part where she says, and that is how I found out that there's no Santa Claus. And I was like, like, don't put that in there.
Well,
But like, what kids are watching it? I don't know. It's a gateway horror movie.
it is, and it also
So,
depends, because I still believe in Santa after watching that. My daughter still believed in Santa for a few years after watching it. Usually, kids aren't paying attention to the serious parts. They want to see the gremlins drink beer and dance.
like Eric was saying, this all started as a present. So if you haven't seen Gremlins, it starts off as a present. He's not supposed to get him because there's three things you're not supposed to do. And it's a very big responsibility to have a gremlin, a mogwai. You can't feed him after midnight.
No bright lights,
And
because and then sunlight will kill them, and then you
yeah.
can't get them wet.
Well, the whole multiplying, yeah, that wouldn't be so bad because they're a bunch of cute little ones. But I swear, after Gizmo, though, some of them were just.
They just, well, you think it's all cute, but they turn into a bunch of little assholes, is what it was. There's no other way around it,
It's like
you
having
know?
more than one child. Some of
That's
them aren't
that's
going to
why
be
I
so
stopped at
good.
one. I stopped at one. I got a 13-year-old daughter in the other room. No more. you know. But they're not just mean to Gizmo, they're mean to each other. You know what I mean? And again, this is another movie where you got to pay attention to what's going on. Like the scene where Billy introduces his dad, shows them all the Mogwais. They're playing like a little Donkey Kong battery powered, video game. If you're not paying attention, one of them, Stripe, the leader with the mohawk, he's playing. They're all watching. But if you look behind him, one Mogwai is beating the other Mogwai over the head with like a plastic spoon or something. So they're vicious little jerks.
Oh,
You
they're
know what I mean?
naughty.
Yeah, that sets up the tone. That like, oh man, you guys are screwed.
And really, Gizmo was like the innocent one of all of them.
That poor guy, he was just sitting by the Christmas tree, playing, tooting his horn, sitting with Barney the dog, and then that asshole Stripe like hawks a orange loogie like right in front of him, laughs and goes back to playing Donkey Kong. Yeah, it's literally like sibling rivalry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. I saw it with my dad at the movie theater when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember out of all, you're not going to believe this, but Grandma's the one who said, I don't know if this might be too scary for her. And I thought,
Oh
wow.
wow, that lady has changed over the years. Some of the stuff you've told me offline.
Yes, yes. So the fact that she said that, and I loved the movie
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
Same here.
And and
I
so it
this
has been with me all these years as kind of like a whoopee.
Well, this is one of those movies that I've always loved. He's around here somewhere. You've seen him in one of my shorts. I have a Gizmo doll from my childhood. You pick him up, he still squeaks. One of my favorite memories is my mom. It was my birthday, and she had a lady at her work who could decorate cakes. And I said, I want a gremlin on my cake. I got it. It was Gizmo instead of a gremlin because the gremlin was too hard. But I had this little cake. It was, there's like this, there's grass and there's like a house in the background. But he's standing there on the lawn and it says, the gremlin wishes a happy birthday. And it's just Gizmo holding some birthday balloons. So I've loved this movie ever since I was a kid. You have the comedy, everyone loves when they go get drunk. Everyone loves when they're losing their minds watching Snow White. Um, there's some dark stuff to it when you can pick up as an adult. The score is so much fun. Like it's perfect from beginning to end. And if your kids are ready for it, because there is some violence to it, like a lot of violence. It's one of the reasons why we have PG-13. Gremlins blowing up in microwaves and getting chopped up in blenders and set on fire, and what happens to Stripe at the end when he melts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was grody.
I love it. It's so wonderful. It's one of those movies. Like I my daughter was old enough. We put it in. She loved it, and the very next day she made me put in Gremlins 2, which she prefers. That's a big time like Looney Tunes cartoon, but it's a great gateway horror, and it's something I've loved ever since I was a kid, and it is my yearly Christmas watch. Like this is when I look forward to watching because it's so good.
You said I'm not going to watch that yet. I'm going to save that for Christmas. And I said, me too, because
Yeah,
it's part of the,
yeah.
I can't always talk grandma into watching it because sometimes she's like, no, I want to watch something new. We've seen that already. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll just watch it at home on my own. But yeah, I like to watch it a little closer to Christmas. So I didn't rewatch it and Eric didn't rewatch it. We've seen it so many times we
Yeah.
could basically tell you the synopsis right off the top of our head. So.
Again, that's another one that I could dedicate a whole episode of this show to. I have my routine. Christmas Eve, me and my daughter watch. We can't find Charlie Brown anymore. Thanks, Apple. Um, Christmas Eve is always Garfield's Christmas special, and then on Christmas Day, it's always Gremlins. And then usually the day after, we have to watch Gremlins too. It is a living, breathing cartoon. And that's the only reason why Joe Dante said he would do it. He said, I'm not doing Gremlins 2 because he wanted it to be more comedic. Mr. Joe Dante is my favorite director. And he grew up on Looney Tunes. He directed that Looney Tunes Back in Action, with Brendan Fraser. And he said, I won't do Gremlins 2 unless I have 100% control, budget notwithstanding. He says, I want to make it a cartoon. And the movie literally starts with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck fighting each other. You know what I mean? And it's just so great and over the top. That's like a Christmas watch for us too, but it's usually the day after.
For many years, I didn't know that the original trailer was supposed to be so much more darker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The mom was supposed to die. She was supposed to, I think Billy was supposed to find her head rolling down the stairs, is what it was. Like he walks in and when the gremlin throws her head down the stairs, type of thing. So it was like really, really dark.
Well,
And
that
I've
wouldn't
read
have been
the
a PG-13. That would have been an
oh
R right there.
Oh God! And then it gets really ape shit. If you read the novelization, you find out that the Mogwais were created by a scientist on a different planet. Like, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, Barb, go down like the original script. Because that's what novelizations usually are based on. The screenplay, it's messed up and weird, but I love it. You can peel back the layers. Look at the stuff Mr. Futterman's going through. He's always drunk at the bar because I don't know if he says it in the movie, but he's basically he lost his job. He's been replaced either by a machine or someone younger, and he's tired of everything being replaced. That's like cars coming in from overseas. There's nothing like because he's that generation, American made, and this is when Japan and everything's bringing their technology and their cars in there. So it's listening to him, and you can tell not necessarily mean, but he kind of browbeats his wife a little bit. And she just takes it all, that's just Murray, ha 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 type of thing. And so there's more to it that you pick up as you're older, which I think is smart writing. You love the
Oh,
goofy
yeah.
stuff as a kid, them getting drunk and watching Snow White, but then you can realize, wow, there's some deep stuff that you can sometimes relate to during the
Yeah.
season. So it's good writing.
Kind of like Shrek with all the adult jokes.
Yeah,
You don't know unless you're a grown up.
exactly.
All right, so moving on to the third one. This is the three that we were originally going to stop at.
Okay.
Okay. And then we started to kind of add more to it. So we've brought you a Satan Santa essentially. We've brought you creatures like a creature feature, and
Mm-hmm.
now we'll give you a Christmas demon. So
Ah, yes.
from 2015, Krampus.
Oh man, I had so much fun rewatching this. I haven't seen that one in God, handful of years, and I was yelling at my TV, for good reason, cheering. So much freaking fun, dark, scary, asshole characters. You know what I mean? But again, like Santa's sleigh, when it starts, it sets the tone because as the credits are playing, you're in a mall or different stores and you just see people fighting over each other. It's slow motion. You got kids, parents fighting over, I don't know, Cabbage Patch dolls, for lack of a better term, and stomping on each other. You got the son beating up a kid in front of Santa and stuff like that. So it's setting the tone. I'm like, all right, now we got a ball game, and it just keeps going and going. I love the mythology, because Krampus actually has its real life mythology. My daughter sat and watched it. She was getting interested in that part of it because she thought it was just, a big giant goat monster. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, go look. Like, I don't know if it's German or not, but it's European folklore, and just read it. Like, there really is, the story of Krampus and stuff, and it's a perfect mixture of comedy and horror, because there's some really scary shit in it. But then when you get like the killer gingerbread men, that you just can't help but laugh, because that scene itself could have gone one of two ways. It could have gone the right way, which is where it went, with David Koechner fighting off evil gingerbread cookies with a nail gun. You know what I mean? Or it could have just been like eye rolling, and just be like, oh, they went too far with the cartoony campiness. Like, I think the director, whoever it was, like, knew when to pull back.
And the funny thing is that the day of recording is December 5th, which is Krampusnacht. It's, yeah, it's,
Wow,
so if
I
you
didn't
Google
realize that.
that, yeah, I was just checking my phone to be on the safe side so that I didn't say something wrong, but it says Krampusnacht, Krampus Night is celebrated on December 5th in Alpine regions. Yeah,
Good for you
that's
doing
pretty
your
cool.
research. Now you don't have to edit that out.
That's right. Yeah, so this is like it almost starts off where it seems more serious. You've got Adam
Mm-hmm.
Scott, Tony Collette is in it. There's some bratty kids because they've got family coming over. Some bratty
Mm-hmm.
kids. The lady that was the house cleaner for Charlie in Two and a Half Men, she's in
That's where
it.
I know her from. Okay, I was
Yeah,
wondering where I knew her. She played the grumpy old aunt. Yeah, who
yeah.
all she wanted to do was drink.
Oh, she was awful. I mean, in a
Uh,
good way, but awful.
yeah,
You know.
the like Adam Scott and Tony Collette, they've been married forever. They're kind of splitting apart, type of thing. And then Tony's sister comes over with David Koechner, the man's man. We all need guns, this type of guy. And he looks down at Adam Scott because he doesn't own a gun. His son isn't on the wrestling team, and that usual bullshit. And I love her. Her sister is fine because she's just kind of meek and quiet. She has to deal with the overbearing husband. The aunt is such a bitch, but she's not like unbearable. You know what I mean? She's not like Trent from the Friday the 13th reboot. I had to throw that in there for you, Barb. But they're not unbearably bad. Like Koechner, like David Koechner, there are times when he needs to get punched right in the mouth, but I don't hate him. You know what I mean?
He actually adds to the story.
He's got the overweight son who is not athletic. So he was hoping the next children would be boys, and he got twins that were girls, but he raised them as boys because he's teaching them how to roughhouse. And there's that heartbreaking scene where Adam's son has his letter to Santa stolen, and they read it out loud, and that's part of it. He's wishing for his parents to get back together. He's wishing for his cousins. I wish they were born boys so they can be more. They have a better connection with their dad, type of thing. So we've all met that type of guy who, I wish my son was an athlete instead of like a fat slob. Like, not picking on the kid, but he reminded me of like Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka. And it wasn't his fault. He
Yeah.
probably wasn't loved, or he wasn't shown attention and stuff like that. So we've all met every one of these type of people, or every one of these families. We've all met them. It's very relatable. And then it gets really dark when the monsters come out, and that's what I really appreciated. How dark it. I didn't expect it to be as dark because, like I said, it's a handful of years since I've seen it. But I'm, holy shit, no one's safe.
Well, you think of how fairy tales in their original form were very dark and
Mm-hmm.
evil, and not
Mm-hmm.
at all what we see in children's books today. And so this movie is kind of like that. It
Mm-hmm.
takes something that should be this jolly, warm, celebrated time and
Mm-hmm.
puts that evil spin on it. They've lost that Christmas spirit, which
Mm-hmm.
invites Krampus into the picture.
There's so many great scenes, like when the daughter is out in the snowstorm, and Krampus in the background jumping on rooftop to rooftop, just chasing her. You have, of course, the overweight kid. There's like a hook that goes down the chimney with a gingerbread man who's like saying, "Come here." So of course he's got to go eat it, but he's taken away. And we never see him again, so we assumed he's killed or eaten. You have all these toys. You have like an angel with wings that's flying around trying to eat people, and that damn Jack in the Box.
There was animatronics in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
To keep it moving the way they wanted it to, it took several people in the behind the scenes to do it.
The Jack in the Box eats one of the twins. You know what I mean? You don't expect that. There's there's an infant, you know what I mean, that isn't safe. And no one is safe. And I like it because it wasn't just for the sake of having that in there. It's not like a freaking Terrifier movie. You know what I mean? Let's see what
Right.
we can do. They do it to show you that how dangerous these creatures are, and they don't care when those elves break through the window. It's so good, and a lot of it's heartbreaking. The grandmother's backstory when she first dealt with Krampus
Oh,
broke my
yeah. That
heart.
was, I like that they put that in there though to give it an extra little bit of layer to the story.
You know, this poor woman, she's probably in her 70s now. And as the movie is starting, we see her backstory. She's maybe 10. So let's just say this woman probably every single Christmas for the next 60 years is waiting for Krampus to come back. That's why she's always telling the young boy, keep the fire going. You know what I mean? This actress who played the grandma, she doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and most of it is in German. But her facial expressions, the way she uses her eyes, the use of fear in the eyes. You know what I mean? Like she's a perfect mixture of fear like that. She's worried that Krampus is going to come get her after all these years because Krampus always leaves one survivor so they can deal with the guilt and tell the story. But she's also a perfect mixture of the fear and then the love towards her grandson. Adam Scott's her son. She loves him. She loves, Tony Collette, but she has that extra love for her grandson, and then the look of disgust and disdain when the in-laws come in. So this woman who played the grandma, she was probably my favorite character.
This director, which I didn't realize this until actually today, was the
Mm-hmm.
same guy that did Trick or Treat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted there to be another holiday-ish movies
I
that people go back to.
I think I prefer this over Trick or Treat, but I'll say this: there's only been one Trick or Treat, and Sam, I could say, is probably a horror icon. Everyone loves Sam from Trick or Treat. You know what I mean? The little guy. And after only one movie, can you really say that about anyone else?
Right.
Like off the top of your head? And then Krampus, I love the ending, the confrontation with Krampus, what happens, how that goes. And then just the way it ends, I was not expecting that. The first time I watched it, I yelled "Holy shit" to my TV because that got me. It really did. And bravo! Like sometimes when a director has the guts to just, I'm doing it. And I do know a lot of people say that they loved it up until the confrontation. Then they'll say when they got to the end, they're like, they didn't like that
People
either. And
don't like the snow globe scene.
yeah, and I'm looking at them. I said, "What the fuck are you? What have you been watching? Did you really think it wasn't going to end this way?" Which
Yeah.
isn't a spoiler because I'm
Yeah.
not saying how it ends,
Yeah.
but I'm like, you should have expected it, and I think and it fits perfectly with the mythology, with the story, and I'm like, bravo! It's all up into
It
interpretation, as we'll
is.
definitely talk about after this recording because
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it. Is it a happy ending? Is it not?
We've given you Santa Sleigh, Gremlins, and Krampus. So tune in for part two, and we'll talk about three more with a dishonorable mention. Right,
Yeah.
Eric?
Oh yeah, we will be.
So happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.